Is it possible to get good grades in university even if you are not born smart? Luckily, I'm glad to tell you that it is completely possible, as I've been there. Hi everyone, Tousou Caveman here. I post videos challenging myself to learn as many skills as possible while talking about various interesting topics to motivate you to become a better version of yourself than before. What we discuss on today's topic, I'll be learning a new pen spinning skill called the Cardioid. Do learn it together with me while listening to my commentary. Tip number 1. Make friends. As we all do our exams individually, you may be thinking, why do we need friends? Especially to the introverts, who very much prefer attending classes and going back home immediately after in order to avoid any form of interactions with others. Well, making friends ensures that you are not closed inside your own bubble. By making friends, they are able to pass on information to you, such as tips for upcoming tests, past year quizzes for practice, and in some cases, even the answers to past year test questions that may come out again if the professors are too lazy to change the questions, which you'll be surprised at how often this occurs. Some professors even give hints on the type of questions that may come out, which you can use to narrow down the area to study, especially if the subject is too overwhelming in terms of the topics covered. All this would not be possible if you do not make any friends. If you are very introverted, hate making friends, and all you care about are your grades, you can at least see this in a strategic point of view. You just have to do the minimal in order to get what you need. You don't have to become best friends, although I recommend you do, as university will be much more fun if you make genuine friends. In my case, there are so many instances where I thought to myself, what would I do if I did not have all my friends helping me? Even in simple cases, such as reminding myself to hand in my assignment, which I tend to forget multiple times. Tip number 2. Make friends with smart people. The previous tip recommends that you make as many friends as possible from different classes to expand the number of years you have to get information. This second tip recommends that you be selective and make friends with smart people. Lessons are taught in lecture halls with hundreds of students. If the professors goes over the materials too fast, or if they teach in an accent that's very difficult to understand, you will be feeling very lost. Not to mention that certain concepts can be understood in many different ways. Thus, if you feel that you are a slow learner, having smart friends will help as they can teach you at a slower pace, and it's always easier to understand concepts from a student point of view. If your smart friend teaching you, you don't have to interrupt the lecture to ask the professor questions or stay back after class and queue to have a chance to ask the professor your question, which may not even give you the answer that you want. Tip number 3. Study on your own. Okay, hear me out. First of all, I told you guys to make friends, and now I'm telling you to study alone. What is that about? The first two tips are more for the introverted, as they have to make the extra effort to make friends, whereas for the extroverted, they are just byproducts since they will already be making lots of friends. But to those that enjoy the company of friends and want to stay alone as little as possible, you don't provide yourself time to find out more about yourself. Being with friends too often means that you'll be following their study methods, their way of thinking, and not to mention, you'll be easily infected by their stress when nearing exams since you are always near them. If you give yourself some alone time to study, you can find out what kind of study method works for you, and you can learn to rely on others lesser by trying to solve problems yourself first. Only if you really don't know how to solve a particular problem, then join your study group and ask them. I've scored miserably during a semester where I spent all my time studying with my friends. I followed their study method of spamming past year test papers to practice for exams and got stressed by them when I see them finishing questions after questions so quickly. As a result, I had my worst semester result of my university during that time. After this failure, I found out that I am someone who does better if I spend more time writing notes and understanding the concept first, rather than doing practice after practice. Giving yourself some time to study alone allows you to study at your own pace and not get stressed by those around you in the already stressful environment of university. Tip number 4. Plan your study schedule. For this tip, I won't be a robot and repeat what other people recommend, like using a time block schedule. A time block schedule is basically a timetable for your tasks of the day, just like a school timetable. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It does, but to some people. I've tried using a time block schedule, and it doesn't work for me. In fact, the goals that I've planned for that day was always not completed, and I became more stressed that I wasn't hitting my goals and not being as productive as I planned to be. The reason why a time block schedule doesn't work for me is because it's very strict on the timing. Sometimes, I'll spend too long on a practice problem and it eats into my next schedule, which in turn stresses me out more, especially during exams. Another reason why it doesn't work for me is because a time block schedule naturally forces me to be too ambitious with my planning. I have a tendency to overplan, resulting in me not being able to achieve it, and it discourages me at the end of the day since I didn't hit all my goals for the day. There's a multitude of other reasons, and people will argue that I just have bad planning, which I completely agree. But from all these, I found something that works for me, which is a mental time block schedule. It works the same way as a written time block schedule, but everything was planned mentally. Usually the day before, I would roughly plan out what I want to work on for the next day. For example, in the morning from 9 to 11:30, I will work on my notes, 1 to 5 on practice exam questions, then 7 to 10 on watching lecture videos. But one thing about a mental time block is that despite giving myself the time schedule, just like how I would for a written time block, it somehow has that innate flexibility. Probably due to the nature of a mental time block schedule not being written down, it allows me some flexibility in shifting the tasks around and not stress that I have to constantly change the schedule, which sounds ironic because I shift it around more. For a written time block schedule, I have to physically change the schedule, which can be time consuming and stressful. But it works for me, and I felt more encouraged and motivated due to this psychological effect, as I felt that I hit all my goals, and at the same time, having a rough plan on how to give the required amount of attention to all my different subjects or modules. Tip number 5. Hard work. If smart people are able to spend lesser time to understand the concept, the only way people who are less smart can bridge this gap is to exchange time. I hate to say this, but you just have to stop signing yourself up for all the school sports or clubs, or going out to chill with your friends. If you really want to score good grades, and you know that you are not as smart, you have to put in the time and effort. I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy your university life, but you have to plan things accordingly. And at times, you must have the discipline to say no to your friend's invitation to go for drinks or their outing that everyone attends not because they are interested in participating, but simply because they have a fear of missing out. Despite me sharing all these tips, I just want to say that university is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The times that you spend doesn't have to always surround studying. There's a multitude of experiences that you can only experience while studying for your degree. The times that you spend with your friends during university will never be the same outside of it, and you will only appreciate it once it's over. One thing that you should do is to think about what's important to you while you are studying. Is it the grades, or are you just there to have fun? Once you know what you want, making decisions will be a lot easier. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a like, share this with your friends, and subscribe for more interesting content like this video.